wise words, do not hurt a person's feelings, do not admonish him in public, and use such wording that makes a person come closer to you rather than pushing him away. This is what hikmah is about. And this also goes back to the issue of inviting non-Muslim towards Islam. A lot of people get hung up on these issues of a woman, for example, a non-Muslim, comes into the masjid without hijab, and people go crazy. How dare she come into the masjid without hijab? But she doesn't know any better. Okay, she doesn't know any better. So, why are you making it a huge issue? Why are you making a big fuss out of it and scaring her away? And this happens that people come to the masjid with true and sincere interest in learning about Islam, and somebody says something to them and they get scared and they never want to come back to the masjid again. So this has happened on many occasions. Just last week we had a huge group of people, about 100 people came to the masjid early in the morning around 8 o'clock, and pictures were posted on our WhatsApp groups, and people just raised that same issue again, that why non-Muslims are in the masjid, in the musalla, they shouldn't be in the musalla area, and so on. There are so many examples of the Prophet ﷺ allowing non-Muslims into the masjid. The people, a group of Christians came all the way from Najran to have a dialogue with the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ had a dialogue with them in the masjid, in al-Masjid al-Nabawi. And then on top of that, when the time came for them to pray, he even permitted them to pray inside the musalla. So the issue is here that when a non-Muslim is coming to sincerely learn about Islam, our actions sometimes push a person away from Islam rather than get him close to us. Very, very sad situation. And many people that actually became Muslim, they say that when we initially came to the masjid, we used to get bad treatment from people. We were sitting in the masjid, listening to lectures, listening to talks, becoming more and more interested, and suddenly somebody tells us, oh, you're not a Muslim, you have to step outside the masjid and stay outside the masjid. A very, very sad situation, and not something that we should tolerate. We have to be a little bit more lenient when it comes to these issues. There's a ruling for a woman, who's in her menstrual cycle, which is a state of impurity, that when she needs to make arkan of Hajj or Umrah, and she has no other choice but to make tawaf around the Kaaba in that state of impurity, then she is allowed to do so. Okay, there's a dam which has to be given, basically a penalty that has to be given, but the point is that even in the state of impurity, she is allowed to make tawaf around the Kaaba, the holiest place in the world. So, this should give us an indication of that impurity is not something that is transferable in the sense that we look at it. So especially being a non-Muslim, non-Muslims are not mukallaf, meaning they are not held accountable by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for their actions. So therefore, the state of impurity that they may be in, it is not an issue, especially when we are trying to invite them towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says is, وَالْمَوْعِظَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ. Call people to the way of your Lord with hikmah. We've talked about hikmah already. And al-maw'izatil hasana, which means good speech. Good speech means that don't let any Joe Schmo just give the lecture if the person doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay? Don't let a person who has no knowledge of the subject try to advise people who are in need of good advice. The person who is talking must know what he's talking about. He has to have the correct knowledge before he gives da'wah. So al-maw'izatul hasana means that whatever da'wah or whatever type of da'wah he's giving, he needs to know what to do. He needs to know what to say. When he's talking to Muslims, he needs to know what to say. When he's talking to Christians, he needs to know what to say. When he's talking to Jewish people, he needs to know what to say. So depending on the situation, the expert in that particular field needs to be brought forward, and he is the one that should be given the lecture, not any person. The person who knows what to do, he is the person that will give da'wah. After that, Allah says, وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ, and dispute with them in a way that is the best. Jidal actually means to fight, all right? But here, this is jidal in the sense that you have a dialogue with a person. So when you're having a dialogue with a person, it should not be in an insulting way. Do not talk to the person in an insulting way. Do not talk to him in derogatory terms. And that's why the concept of debate in Islam, where a person tries to put the other down, this is not really something that is appropriate in Islam. A dialogue is a better word to use rather than debate. In a debate, you try to prove the other wrong using his own proofs and so on. Sometimes that is counterproductive. You're insulting him in a way that you're pushing him away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in one verse of the Quran, وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ فَيَسُبُّوا اللَّهَ عَدْوًا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. Do not, curse those that call to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, they're going to curse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in return. Okay, so if you curse a statue that a person worships, he loves that statue, he loves to prostrate to the statue, he thinks highly of that statue, and you insult that statue, do you think that he is not going to insult Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or insult our religion? Of course he's going to. So, وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ means dispute with them in such a way, or dialogue with them in such a way that is good.